morning, everybody. Yesterday, I was talking to one of my coworkers, not someone in my department. I work in a prison. So I was talking to one of the correctional officers, one of the guards, and he said, he wishes he was born 200 years ago, even though life would have been a lot harder. There wouldn't be all the issues that we have today with the wokeness and all of the other political issues that we have today, because people have become spoiled and so forth. And that was really my mindset. I didn't want to live 200 years ago. When I was a kid, I wanted to live, 40 years earlier, something like that. Maybe in the 1950s is when I thought I wanted to live, when I was growing up in the 90s. I came to Torah, and I came across this verse in Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 10. It really bothered me, because it says, Al toimar ma haya shayamim rishonim haya toiva me'elam. It says, do not say that which was in the earlier days were better than these. Ki loy me chochma sha'alta al zeh. Because you did not ask this from wisdom. And that always bothered me, because that's what I always felt older was better. Growing up with a home with two religions, neither religion being particularly strong, but nonetheless they were both present. And what is this person doing? And always liking the older things. I picked the older religion. I remember my wife, who grew up Mormon and converted to Judaism. She said she had a friend who was Catholic, and she said, they would all. Her best friend was Catholic, and her Catholic friend was, well, I have the older religion, assuming that there's something superior to that. And then when she converted to Judaism, says, well, now I beat you in that. And scripture elsewhere in Deuteronomy 4 says, do ask about earlier days. And in Deuteronomy 33 it says, remember the days of old. So there is a value in studying history and learning history and preserving our heritage. But the particular thing that King Solomon is saying here is, do not assume that things were better in the old days. One of my other co-workers, who is in my department, someone who I supervise, even though he's old enough to be one of my parents, is a Native American chief. He's a Lenape ceremonial chief. And he always tells people who say, I want to go back, live a traditional life. He's like, you mean you want to wear a loincloth and live in a tent, and go hunting for your food? And he's like, I'm very thankful that I live in this time, the chief says, where I can, live in a house, have an air conditioner, have a TV, go to the store and buy food, and yet still, every now and then, retreat to those places, but out of a comfortable place, do a vision quest, and always remember my heritage, remember where I came from. And I think, that what we have today, we have different challenges than they had in those days. And what I've learned from focusing on this verse, the lesson that this scripture teaches, is that we have to preserve the past and learn from history and take the good and reject that which is maybe not so good. That's what conservatism is about. It's not about just keeping things how they always were, but finding the things that worked and conserving them, but not just strictly doing everything like they've always been. Conservatism does require some rejection of the past, and only conserving, like conservationism versus environmentalism, that Teddy Roosevelt was a conservationist and not an environmentalist, because environmentalism kind of discounts humanity in a sense. And so too, we are blessed to live in this time. And our sages say, Jephthah in his time was like Samuel in his time. Yiftach b'dorah k'shmuel b'dorah. We don't have to think that, oh, things would have been better if we only lived in a different time. No. God put us in this time for this time, like it says in the book of Esther. Maybe God put you in this place at this time for this reason. And that's true. That's what we are dealing with here, is that we have special challenges in this time. That doesn't mean that things would have been better if we were in a different time. We have to use the tools that we have now to make this world better by, yes, conserving the good things of the past, not rejecting everything. What the left widely does is throw out the baby with the bathwater, and I think the comparison between environmentalism and conservationism is a good example of that as well. I have much more to say on this, but I don't have much time. It's the Lord at work. I usually like to give my wife a call when I get to work to let her know I got here safely. So thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment. We'll see you all later. How do I turn this thing off? No. Ecclesiastes 7:10. There we go. This one. Did it turn off? No, it's still on.